When we go out to a floor situation, we kind of look around the surrounding terrain, get an idea of the geography, the location. Like, for instance, if we're close to a swamp or a low-lying area, that's when we are looking for hydrostatic pressure, water coming through that floor, and then we have to think about water mitigation systems. And that happens not often, but occasionally. And tell me a little bit about that, expand on that, because we've used the water mitigation systems in several settings, and it's really worked out well for us.
Well, water mitigation systems were developed several years ago, and it's an evolving science and an understanding of what causes it. It can be vapor and or water. So today we're near the Crow River, so we did a Tramex meter test on the floor just to make sure that we were within standards. The Tramex meter, it measures the moisture in the top 1 inch of the concrete. Less expensive meters can measure just the top of the concrete. We recommend the Tramex meter because you're measuring the top 1 inch, which gives you a better idea of what is going on in that slab. So if you have a concrete floor with a lot of pop-outs and spalling and things like that, it's a must. So we recommend the Tramex meter be used on every project where there's any chance at all that we'd have moisture drive. It gives you a readout of a number. If it's above that number, then we need to do a moisture mitigating system so that the finish coats will adhere well to the concrete. When you have a moisture problem in a concrete, the concrete actually will fail, taking the top coats with it. So anytime you're looking at a garage floor to be coated, we recommend a moisture test be done.
You know, you mentioned something about these pop-outs, and pop-outs, I call them divots. They look like a little ice cream cone formation that goes down to a sedimentary rock in the bottom of it. And you can actually see that little pebble, and that pebble seems to get some water in it from the concrete, and it freeze-thaw over the winter. It pops it out. As you say, it takes the coating with it. And it happens in a small number, I'd say about less than 2% of our floors that we see that, and we have to go back out and service them. And it's a headache for everybody. But nonetheless, why does the concrete in Minnesota have that sedimentary rock in it? Is that an engineering specification, or is it just a part of the business?
It's part of the business. They mine gravel and aggregate and things that go into the concrete. There are industry standards. Looking back 10 or 15, 20 years, the standards weren't quite as high. The concrete manufacturers try to regulate that, but every once in a while you get some bad aggregate or soft aggregate. Less today than there was 30 years ago, but it still happens.
Yeah, that's my experience. We deal a lot with repairing of old floors, 30, 40, 50 years old. That's kind of what we have to deal with. But nonetheless, concrete is concrete. Do you recommend people using like granite fines in concrete?
The concrete additive business is kind of a separate division or separate group of companies. There are different industry standards depending on the use of the concrete. So it's always best just to do the test, and that will take care of that type of situation of the pop-outs usually. It's not a 100% guarantee, but it's a pretty good preventative measure.
One of the things you've mentioned about concrete is that, you know, what we do, and we've really advised us in the way to do this, is to do the proper preparation. And we grind all floors with a grinder that gives us I think there's a standard, a CSP 2 or 3 that we're looking for a kind of a grit level, an edge profile on that concrete floor. So we grind them, we trowel in a material on all of the spalling and the divots, and so then we regrind it again, and then we put the epoxy base down and broadcast the flakes into them. So that's the steps that we use in preparation. We think it's necessary. We know of, in the older days, they used to acid etch and do some cleaner solvents, but they never have been adequately prepare the floor. Have you seen other things that, in your experience, that are the ways to prep a floor?
When we look at jobs that don't turn out right, the number one reason would be improper preparation. So the companies that I work with, we require proper preparation, and we do have a standard for that. Like Ron indicated, it's a CSP. It's a range of from 1 to 10, and generally you need that. And the only way to effectively do that is with mechanical means. Things like acids and can be affected. If there's an old sealer on there, they don't work. And if you don't have the proper profile, it really doesn't matter what product you put on there, it's going to fail. So in your evaluating of garage floor systems, probably the most important thing is what is the preparation? Are they going to bead blast, shot blast, or diamond grind? Really needs to be one of those methods to get that rough feeling, almost like a rough sandpaper, so that that aggregate is exposed and you're removing any of the soft paste and latents off the top of the concrete, which can cause bond failure down the road.
And then we go through that process and then get the coating system down, and we broadcast the flakes, and then we come back on the second day and we do the job of scraping them up and getting them all trimmed up the way we want them. Then we put our top coat on and we put an additive in the floor surface so that there's a slip resistance. And when we're done with that, the guys are done, and then I have the job of coming out the day after and looking at every floor, because I want to be sure the quality is absolutely retained for the integrity of the floors that we put out. We guarantee our floors. I want to know what we're doing and delivering. I want the customer happy.
Another reason for the evolution in basic polyurethane chemistry was the lowering of solvent standards within the United States by various governmental agencies. Manufacturers have taken out solvent in a lot of the products. Another thing was speed. Some of the old polyurethanes would take a day to cure, which caused delays in projects. So polyaspartics, polyureas were developed to speed up the curing cycles and lower the solvent used in the products. They also added improved abrasion resistance. So by marrying polyurethane, polyaspartics, polyurea technologies with the epoxy, we were able to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, what I was focusing on was, the fact that the standards were California standards, frankly, that migrated throughout the United States. Solvent-based products were becoming challenged by the California standards, and therefore I was looking for 100% solids products, 100% solids in epoxy and 100% solids in our top coat. And so that's what I was wanting to deliver, because I didn't want any of the flash off of these VOCs, volatile organic compounds, that are solvents that are like, well, let's characterize it to like turpentine in oil-based paint. It flashes off, it's not on the floor. So a solvent goes away, it flashes off and evaporates. And now you have less on the floor. And that was something I did not want to have in our product delivery. And that's why I migrated to exactly where we are.
So Ron came to me with those challenging standards of 100% solids, durable finish. So we were able to hook Ron up with the two largest flooring manufacturers in the world, one for the epoxy side, one for the urethane side. So we're now using 100% solids epoxy, 100% solids top coat. So there's no harmful odors, fast cure, and durable results. So in the past, we were using products that were 60% solvent, for example, and we had to wear masks to apply them and things like that. So new day, better products, new technology, better result for the owner.
And that's why I went in that direction, and I've been very happy that we did. And I use as a point of differentiation, yes, it does take us a little longer to do the job. It takes us a couple days, sometimes 3, but we believe that we get the best of both worlds and deliver the right kind of product to the customer. Well, Paul, I really appreciate your taking the time out here at the job site out here in lovely Delano, and it's been a pleasure to talk with you and get to recapitulate the background that we use in our study of garage floors and how we do the job and consistently apply the best quality products that we can have. Thank you for your time. For over 10 years, Great Garage Floors has been serving you with beautiful garage floors. Find us at greatgaragefloorsforyou.com or at 952-473-8600.